So there's a lawsuit that just kicked off a couple months ago, and it's really important because it involves Sony and Tencent, two mammoths of companies when it comes to media and video games in general. Huge companies that publish huge games, there is no doubt about it. So this lawsuit, it actually involves Sony accusing Tencent of copying off of one of their kind of new, very big video game IPs, and that is Horizon. Just a little recap for those of you who are like me, who feel a bit overwhelmed sometimes with all of the video game series out there. It's just hard to keep track of all of them. Horizon, that is a game series that, like I said, is owned by Sony, so it's a big PlayStation series. The whole thing is that it's a post-apocalyptic world, so there's like a bunch of, overgrown trees and like nature and stuff, but there's also these big like cyborg robot things. Horizon has two main games. They have Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. Like I said, it's kind of a newer IP. The first game was 2017. So the game in question by Tencent that is the alleged copycat of Horizon, that is Light of Motiram. Got the cover art here. This is an upcoming game that is going to be published by Tencent. You can see here it's kind of, it kind of looks like what I described, at least to me anyway. You got a bit of emphasis on nature, kind of the trees, and then of course you got those big, those animatronic robot things in the background there. You also have a red-haired protagonist that is using what looks to me like a bow and arrow, like hunting equipment. And so, for comparison, this is the cover of Horizon Zero Dawn. You see that, in the opinion of some, I won't say all, but some, it very much looks the same. And again, Horizon has been around before Light of Motiram, so you can see that Horizon, they seem to have kind of the same thing going for it, at least just from the cover photo. A lot of trees, a lot of nature, the big robot cyborg things, a red-haired female protagonist with a bow and arrow. Yeah, I definitely get it. On the surface, these two games kind of look similar. I mean, even like the font or like the style of the text, to me, is even kind of the same style. So it really is up to anybody's opinion. I'm not just stating that as a fact, of course. But the whole copycat claim is what was alleged by Sony a couple months ago in that lawsuit. But now Tencent has clapped back. So this is from Video Games Chronicle. They say Tencent has now responded to Sony's lawsuit, calling the claims startling, and accusing Sony of trying to monopolize a part of pop culture when, in Tencent's view, Horizon was not particularly original in the first place. Ouch. We'll see as we get into it that they're claiming that these tropes with video games, these are more common than what Sony is claiming. Just a bit of more interesting backstory also. It says the suit from Sony also alleges that after starting work on Light of Motiram, again, this is this game by Tencent that has not came out yet, Tencent then asked Sony if it wanted to collaborate on a new Horizon game, to which Sony declined, and Sony claims that Tencent then went ahead and made a Horizon-like game anyway. So the rest of this is by the website The Game Post, and that is what Video Games Chronicle was referencing. So this is as far as the new development today with Tencent. There is a court filing that unfortunately it does not look like is public right now. It was just seen by an insider at the Game Post, so they say now Tencent has filed its response. Earlier today, the Chinese tech giant filed the motion to dismiss, and the company pushed back hard, calling Sony's lawsuit an overreach. Tencent argues that Sony is not really trying to protect unique creative work. Instead, it is trying to monopolize entire storytelling conventions that dozens of other games have been using for years. Yeah, they're saying that these tropes are not as unique to Horizon as what they are saying. It says Tencent's filing does not tiptoe around its point. In plain terms, the company says Sony is trying to lock down ideas and imagery that have been part of gaming for decades. The red-haired heroes, ruined civilizations, and mechanical monsters. All of that stuff that I was talking about. So it says, according to Tencent, Sony wants the court to hand them exclusive rights to things that pop up in everything from The Legend of Zelda to Far Cry to Outer Wilds to Enslaved to Biomutant and more games. Yeah, and those tropes by themselves I definitely don't see as unique, but I think the claim from Sony is just that it's all of these tropes kind of combined to look like a similar game. But Tencent, they don't feel that that is a good enough argument, and in fact they feel that Sony is really just pushing the boundary here, trying to monopolize this whole idea that you can't have this combination of tropes. That's, that's our idea, but Tencent says that that is just not workable and that is not something that they will stand for. So it says at bottom, this is allegedly a quote from Tencent in the court filing, Sony's effort is not aimed at fighting off piracy or plagiarism or any genuine threat to intellectual property. It is an improper attempt to fence off a well-trodden corner of pop culture and declare it Sony's exclusive domain. So yeah, the clapback from Tencent was definitely hard. They are accusing Sony of trying to monopolize something in video games that just should not be monopolized. And I do think that this is a pretty good argument. But these are two gaming giants. Who knows how long they're gonna fire punches at each other in the courtroom. And keep in mind, we got a ways to go before Light of Motiram is supposed to come out. On Steam, it looks like this ain't coming out till Q4 of 2027. That is over 2 years from now. And that's not assuming any pushbacks or anything like that. And of course, that's not assuming there are no hiccups that involve this lawsuit. The lawsuit could push it back and, well, who knows? We will just have to wait and see what happens with the Sony versus Tencent matchup.